continue to do business, but in a safely manner.
So I want to add something that maybe is a little bit from what Johnny just mentioned, but I strongly believe that, for example, you shouldn't take, I'm gonna give an example, you shouldn't take an electric car to a workshop that handles combustion engine vehicles, because they operate differently. So I understand that sometimes the relationship with financial institutions seems accurate. However, most of the jurisdictions in LATAM, they are creating an own ecosystem for cryptocurrency that could be related to banks or financial institutions, but the registration is being done directly with vast companies. So one of the things that is really important, that is for international players to be part of the ecosystem, is first to understand, as I mentioned to you at the beginning, is that blockchain is a technology that doesn't operate locally. For instance, Binance operates internationally, and they have a regional section for Latin America. In our case, we were the first company to handle, for instance, the 2 licenses in El Salvador for Bitcoin service provider and also for the digital asset service provider. That entity is operating in some of the LATAM jurisdictions. For example, in Argentina, we applied for the VAS registration with the El Salvador entity because this is the one operating. Argentina allowed us to do the registration with a foreign entity. That means that the El Salvadorian entity was the one doing the registration, that didn't need to have any kind of local representation in the first step. That gave the Argentinian government a lot of insight on how the industry works. That registration has more than 100 entities now that has been part of the registration, and almost all international players apply to that jurisdiction with foreign entities that represents actually how their businesses is working. So this means that it's not just that you could do the registration with a foreign entity, but also you can do the reportings with a foreign entity. And that means that the locals, FIU, the locals UIF, it will be in Spanish, they adapt their system to allow foreign entities to do the registrations and to be an obligated entity on their behalf, presenting STR reports, being able to be a reporting agency for lavado de dinero or ML purposes, and they adapt everything to actually reflect the reality on how international players are operating. When you do things this way, and also, for example, they also regulated everything regarding reverse solicitation basis. This means when you do not have something that is properly done for that jurisdiction, that you are actually operating broadly. They also allow that, and they also allow unregulated entities that are not part of the registration and that can operate a little bit different. It is similar to what India also did, that they also allow to have these kind of registrations with foreign entities. So it is something that is being applied in a lot of jurisdictions right now. And in this case, you are enabling them to reflect the operations of the reality of their operations, but also having the reports and everything you need locally. There are going to be, for instance, we have a public proof of reserve, so you can know actually the warranties that the company is handling. This means that you can see the capital that the company has and where are the assets. We have a 101 asset banking, and we also have a SAF fund, that is a secure asset fund for users. It has been established in July 2018. It is for emergency insurance, so in case that the company has any problems, we have more than $1 billion equivalent for any kind of emergency. And this is not on users' assets or anything like that, it is company assets, to have it as a warranty or as a safety measure in case it is needed. So all those kind of operation reflects that most of international companies are trying to get these kind of requirements, but they are doing it not because it is something that they need to do from a regulatory perspective, but it is something that they are starting to apply because they need that it should be actually applied in the industry. It is for a goodwill actually that they are doing that. So I think that, for example, to allow or to think to allow companies that they already have an international license, that they already are presenting reports in different jurisdictions, it is also something to take into consideration because other jurisdictions are considering it. So I think that at least for international players, those kinds of regulations are sometimes, let's say, more friendly to adapt actually the operations that we have internationally. And I think that it should be also something to take into consideration. We saw jurisdictions that they just did a regulation for local entities. We saw jurisdictions that they did a regulation for local entities, but also for foreign ones. So I think that it's actually pretty good to see what the region is doing, what our neighbors are doing, because I believe it is at the end how the region is going to work.
Thank you very much, Agustina.